Space should have been quiet. It should have been empty, calm, undisturbed. Instead, the first thing the Terran reinforcement fleet saw as it dropped out of FTO was fire. Not normal fire. The fire of dying ships, drifting like broken bones across a battlefield that was already lost. On every channel, alarms chimed the same truth. Human colony Arcadia has fallen. Commander Varric Hale stood on the bridge of the TSS Black Requiem, watching the debris fields with an expression fixed and unreadable. He didn't flinch. He didn't curse. He didn't even blink long enough to give away emotion. His officers knew that look. It was a look he wore before he did something monstrous. Behind him, Lieutenant Mara whispered, shaken, "Sir, we're too late. The Arcadian defense line is completely destroyed. No survivors detected." The crew expected Hale to sigh or mourn or rage. He did none of that. Instead, he asked one question. "Where's the enemy fleet now?" The bridge fell silent. Sensor Officer Kaido swallowed. "Sir, the Zalani fleet is still present. They're harvesting wreckage and transmitting victory declarations across the sector." Hale's lips twitched slightly, not into a smile, but into something colder. "The Zalandi want witnesses," he said. "Let's not disappoint them." The crew exchanged uneasy looks. Everyone in the Terran Navy knew Hale's reputation. Strategic genius. Zero hesitation. Zero mercy. A mind built for war, not peace. When other commanders planned battles, Hale planned psychological collapses. "Sir," Kaido continued, "enemy forces outnumber us roughly 4-1. They're dreadnoughts alone." "Numbers don't matter," Hale interrupted quietly. His voice stayed soft, calm, but everyone felt the temperature on the bridge drop, not when the enemy thinks the battle is already over. He stepped forward, hand behind his back, staring at the wreckage like a surgeon studying a patient. Open a narrow beam transmission to the Zalani flagship. Mara frowned. "Sir, if they detect we're here." "They already know," Hale replied. "They're waiting to enjoy our fear." The channel opened. Static crackled. Then a guttural, insect-like voice echoed through the bridge. "Human fleet. Too late. Too weak. Too foolish to resist. Leave. The system is no longer yours." Hale didn't respond immediately. He simply listened, letting the alien commander believe he was intimidated. Then he spoke. "This system isn't yours, either." A pause. "Your forces merely occupy it," Hale continued. "You haven't won anything. Not yet." The Zalani voice snarled. "You have no strength left to challenge us." Hale exhaled slowly. "Is that what you believe?" He leaned slightly toward the screen. "Then keep your fleet exactly where it is. I insist." The line went dead. Silence returned to the bridge. Finally Mara spoke, confused. "Sir, they outgun us heavily. Why provoke them?" Hale turned to her, eyes cold and logical. "Because," he said softly, "they believe we are here to save survivors." He gestured at the wreckage fields. "There are no survivors." The crew winced at the bluntness, but Hale continued. "The Zalandi think grief will make us desperate, predictable. They expect us to beg or flee or attempt rescue." A faint, deadly glint appeared in his eyes. "They don't expect what comes next." Mara frowned. "And what has come next?" Hale answered with the same calm tone he always used when planning something ruthless. "We turn this entire battlefield into a weapon." The crew froze. Kaido whispered, shocked, "You mean use the wreckage field against them?" Hale nodded once. "Every civilian transport, every shattered warship, every Arcadian hull fragment." He pointed at the drifting debris outside. "Those aren't ruins. They are projectiles waiting for a trajectory." Mara's voice faltered. "Sir, that's thousands of destroyed ships." "Yes," Hale said quietly, "and the Zalandi will be crushed under every one of them." He looked at the tactical display. "Prepare graviton anchors. Arm mass driver boosters. Seal all decks." His voice dropped into lethal clarity. "We're about to bury an empire." The Black Requiem's engines dimmed to minimum output as the fleet shifted into a silent drift, not retreating, not advancing, just watching. Commander Varric Hale stood perfectly still on the command platform, eyes fixed on the sea of debris around them, the shattered remains of Arcadia's defense force. Where other commanders saw tragedy, Hale saw ammunition. Engage graviton anchors, he ordered. A low hum rolled to the hull as invisible beams shot out toward the drifting wrecks, latching onto twisted frames of transports, broken frigates, hospital pods, mining barges, thousands of dead ships now tethered to Terran control. Lieutenant Mara's voice trembled. Sir, I know the Zalandi deserve everything coming to them, but using the remains of our own. Hale cut her off, tone flat and ice cold. The fallen will get justice through purpose. He wasn't angry. He didn't shout. He simply decided, and that was enough. The nearest debris cluster shuddered as the graviton anchors tightened, aligning the wrecks into a coordinated mass. Then another cluster. Then another. Kaido stared at the tactical hologram in awe. Sir, we have control of approximately 3,400 debris fragments, mass equivalent to about 6 dreadnoughts. Hale nodded. Not nearly enough. He turned to weapons control. Activate mass driver boosters. Set staggered ignition pattern. A young ensign swallowed hard. Sir, if we ignite that many boosters in proximity, the shock waves. Hale didn't look at him. Compensate. The ensign scrambled. Outside, the first boosters ignited with ghostly blue flashes. Then more. Then dozens. Then hundreds. The debris fields, once drifting silently, began to move. At first, slowly, then steadily, then with accelerating purpose. Every shattered human vessel turned toward the Zalandi fleet, like a forest of steel spears aligning to strike. But the Zalandi didn't understand yet. Not until a furious transmission burst across the comm channels. Human fleet, what are you doing? General Castix of Zalandi sounded outraged and a little uncertain. Good. Hale wanted him uncertain. He answered calmly, clearing the field. What is that? The alien commander cut off mid-sentence as his sensors realized the impossible. The entire graveyard of Arcadia was moving toward them. Thousands of derelict human ships accelerating like a tidal wave of metal and fire. Castix's voice cracked. You sand-brained primates. This is madness. You will destroy yourselves too. Hale tilted his head slightly. Incorrect. He folded his hands behind his back. We're already past the safe distance. He wasn't lying. When he arrived, he dropped the fleet 12,000 kilometers further out than the standard reinforcement jump point. A normal commander would have jumped closer to help survivors. But Hale had known the truth the second he saw the system. No survivors meant no need for a close jump. The alien commander sputtered. You would desecrate your own dead. Hale replied, emotionless. I don't desecrate. I weaponize. Then he cut the channel. On the bridge, the crew braced as booster ignition reached full activation. The battlefield trembled. 3,400 dead ships accelerated into a massive, expanding cone formation, a kinetic storm the size of a small moon. Mara whispered, horrified and mesmerized at the same time. Sir, this will cause a catastrophic density impact. Their formation will collapse. Hale finished. They will be unable to maneuver or fire without striking the debris wave. Kaido's eyes widened. That's a fleet killer, sir. No, Hale said. It's a message. His gaze hardened. A reminder that humanity never arrives too late. The Zalandi fleet finally realized the scale of the disaster. Their formation broke into chaos. Ships collided. Dreadnoughts rammed smaller vessels trying to flee. Their command structure dissolved in seconds. But it was already too late. The first wave of wreckage slammed into their front line like a mountain falling from orbit. Alien shields cracked. Hull plates shredded. Entire cruisers were crushed into scrap. A second wave followed. Then a third. Then the full mass driver. Propelled wall of Arcadia's remains hit the heart of the Zalandi Armada like the wrath of an entire species condensed into steel and vengeance. Explosions bloomed across the void. The alien fleet, once proud, victorious, boastful, was reduced to panic and mangled wreckage. On the bridge of the Black Requiem, Hale finally allowed himself a slow breath. Begin scanning for surviving Zelani vessels. Mara asked softly, to capture or destroy? Hale answered without hesitation. Neither. The crew blinked at him. Then what, sir? Hale's voice was calm and deadly. We let them run. Fear lasts longer than debris. The battlefield fell into a strange, terrible silence. Where the Zelani fleet had once floated in a proud crescent formation, now there was only a drifting cloud of fire, twisted hulls, and shattered alien metal. The graveyard of Arcadia had claimed its revenge, and Commander Varric Hale had merely guided it. But it wasn't enough. Hale didn't blink as he watched the wreckage settle into chaotic orbits. He was studying patterns, searching for something that wasn't obvious. Lieutenant Mara approached cautiously, voice low. Sir, most of the Zelani fleet has been neutralized. Scanners show only scattered survivors, fleeing on emergency burns. Hale nodded once, as if he'd expected it. They will run, he said, but not aimlessly. Kaido frowned. Sir, you think they have a fallback point? Hale's eyes narrowed. Not a fallback. He stepped toward the tactical hollow. A rally point. With a swipe of his hand, he highlighted the vector lines of the escaping ships. 3 different paths, slightly misaligned, but never truly random. Mara's breath caught. They're converging. Exactly. Hale's voice carried no satisfaction, only certainty. They were prepared for reinforcements. They had a secondary fleet hidden somewhere close. A murmur spread through the bridge. Another fleet, waiting, possibly larger. The weaponized graveyard had crushed the first wave, but it also announced the Terran's arrival. Kaido's hands trembled over his console. Sir, if we pursue, we'll run straight into their ambush. And if we don't, they'll regroup and strike again. Hale finished. He turned away from the hollow, cloak shifting with his movement like a shadow. We can't allow either. Hale's plan. The commander stood in the center of the bridge, posture relaxed, voice calm enough to be terrifying. We will not pursue them. Hale said, not directly. Mara blinked. Then how do we stop them? He tapped the hollow again, this time highlighting the entire debris cloud of both the destroyed human and alien fleets. By making them believe this battle isn't over. His fingers danced across the interface. Hollow deception arrays online, he ordered. A junior officer froze. Sir, those systems are experimental. The range is limited and the projection density is sufficient. Hale cut in. Activate them. The ensign obeyed. A burst of shimmering distortion radiated from the Black Requiem, expanding across the wreckage field in a wide arc. And then, something impossible happened. The Terran fleet cloned itself. Not perfectly. The projections were slightly blurred, slightly grainy, but at a distance, sensors would mark them as real ships. Dozens, hundreds, an entire phantom fleet rising from the graveyard. The crew stared in stunned awe. Sir, Mara whispered, you created ghost ships. Hale tilted his head. No. He turned to watch the projections drifting ominously across the void. I created witnesses. The bait. The escaping Zelani survivors reached the edge of the system. Right on schedule, their encrypted comms flared. The bridge speakers translated only fragments. Massive Terran presence. Multiple fleets. Shadows everywhere. Impossible numbers. Kaido's eyes widened. Sir, they think we have an entire armada. Hale allowed the faintest trace of a smile. Not joy, but calculation. Good. He raised a hand. Now reduce our real fleet signature by 90%. No emissions. No transmission. No engine flare. The Terran ships dimmed to near invisibility. To the fleeing Zelani, the only visible fleet was a Phantom One. And that's exactly what Hale wanted. They'll assume, he said calmly, that reinforcements for the reinforcements have arrived. Mara whispered, and their rally fleet will panic. Panic, Hale agreed, is predictable. The trap behind the trap. A beeping alert interrupted the moment. Kaido almost jumped. Contact. Multiple Zelani ships emerging from FTL. Far edge of the system. The hidden rally fleet. Massive. Armed. Ready. They must have expected to arrive behind the Terran reinforcement fleet. Instead, they arrived to face the Ghost Armada. Alien comms exploded into chaos. What is this? Terran numbers, impossible. Retreat, retreat. Do not engage. Mara stared, stunned. They're falling back, without firing a shot. Hale nodded, satisfied. They believe the humans have shown up in overwhelming force. They believe the first fleet was annihilated in seconds. They believe they are hopelessly outmatched. He turned away from the hollow, cloak trailing like a shadow cutting through light. And once belief takes hold, his eyes hardened. Fear becomes doctrine. Hale's final command for the phase. Let them run, he said. The bridge fell silent. Track their trajectory. Record fleet composition. Study their retreat patterns. He looked at the debris field. Now his weapon, now his camouflage. We know their next target. Mara finally asked the question everyone feared. Sir, what are we going to do? Hale answered with cold certainty. We are going to strike before they regroup. We are going to follow their fear. And we're going to end the Zalani chain of command in one blow. He paused. And we will do it with a fleet they think doesn't exist. The Zalani rally fleet fled Arcadia at maximum burn. Engines flaring blue. Formation shattering. Discipline forgotten. They were no longer an Imperial strike force. They were prey. On the Black Requiem, Commander Varric Hale watched their retreat path flicker across the holographic display. He spoke without looking away. Logged their jump coordinates. Kaido obeyed instantly. Coordinates locked, sir. Their vector aligns towards Sector 9, Kappa, Zalandi territory. Hale nodded once. Predictable. Mara stepped forward, tension tightening in her voice. Sir, if we chase them into their own space, we'll be surrounded. Their chain of command is fractured, Hale said, and afraid. He turned from the display, cold eyes sweeping across the bridge. Fear is a weapon stronger than any rail cannon. The moment we pushed them into retreat, we rewrote their operational doctrine. No one dared interrupt. He continued. They will go to their nearest regional command node. They'll want reinforcements. Safety. Answers. A thin, predatory smile touched the edge of his expression. And we will arrive first. The silent fleet. The Terran ships powered down their drives to minimal thrust, aligning silently with the Zalani escape vector. Instead of a loud pursuit, Hale ordered the fleet into a cold chase. Engines dim. Emissions zero. Calm silent. Hull plating cooled. The human fleet moved like shadows. Even Mara, whose calm was legendary, whispered in awe. Sir, we're practically invisible. Not invisible. Hale corrected. Unnoticed. Kaido checked the sensors again. The Zalandi haven't looked back, sir. They're too busy talking to themselves. Hale's voice remained quiet, steady. As expected, their command structure is panicking. They believe the entire Terran Armada is behind them, ready to strike. He turned toward the front viewport, watching the stars stretch and distort as the fleet prepared for FDL insertion. But we're not an armada, Mara said. Just one reinforcement fleet. Hale nodded slowly, which is why we must strike where it hurts the most. The Zalani command node. Hours later, the fleeing Zalani fleet dropped out of FDL. Hale's fleet shadowed them, emerging just outside sensor range. Kaido displayed the region on the hollow, a massive orbital fortress, 3 shipyards, a command spire anchored to an asteroid, defensive rings, dozens of frigates, several cruisers, and one enormous carrier-class dreadnought at the center. Mara whispered, horrified, "That's a fortress system. We can't take that head-on." "We're not going to," Hale replied. The crew exchanged confused stares. If they weren't going to attack, then what were they doing here? Hale zoomed in on the command spire, the nerve center of regional Zalani command. This facility coordinated supply lines, fleet deployments, and intelligence for 12 surrounding systems. He turned to his officers. Destroy it, and the Zalani region collapses into chaos. Kaido swallowed hard. But, sir, the fortress guns are calibrated for fleets. Hale interrupted. Not ghosts. The plan that shouldn't be possible. Hale lifted his hand. Activate projection arrays. The crew froze. Again, Mara breathed. Sir, the first projection of the Phantom fleet drained nearly half the auxiliary capacitors. The system might not. It will, Hale said firmly. He didn't mean it might work. He meant there is no alternative. The arrays warmed. The hull thrummed. The air tasted metallic. Then, a ripple of light cascaded across the void. A new Phantom Terran armada appeared. Not behind the Zalandi this time, but inside their fortress's outer perimeter. Dozens of ghost dreadnoughts. Hundreds of ghost cruisers. All positioned in a perfect assault formation. The Zalandi panicked instantly. Terran presence inside perimeter. Shields up. All batteries fire. Where did they come from? Evacuate the command spire. This is impossible. Mara stared in disbelief. Sir, they're firing at the projections. Of course they are, Hale said. They fear the armada that doesn't exist more than the fleet that does. As the fortress and shipyards wasted firepower on holograms, the real Terran fleet slid under Fortress's firing arcs, using the chaos as cover. The kill move, the Black Requiem aligned with the base of Zalandi Command Spire, the only location unshielded during emergency firing sequences. Hale raised a hand. Fire one lance. Kaito blinked. Sir, just one. One is all we need. The spinal lance cannon charged. A thin beam of white gold energy cut silently across the void, precise, surgical, unstoppable. It pierced the command spire's base. The entire structure cracked, then collapsed inward, then detonated. Zalandi comms fell into total silence. The regional command was dead. The reaction? Mara exhaled shakily. Commander, we just decapitated their leadership. Hale stared at the glowing debris. No, he said quietly. We just eliminated their certainty. He watched the collapsing fortress as alarms echoed across the system. Now the Zalandi government will panic. Their fleets will scatter. Their commanders will argue. Their civilians will hide. Their military will fracture. He lowered his voice to a whisper. And in that chaos, humanity will choose where the war goes next. The remains of the alien coalition fleet floated like drifting ash, silent, broken, and slowly cooling. But Admiral Vance wasn't smiling. Victory was never the goal. Domination was. Power reading stabilizing, Silas reported. Enemy channels are wide open. They're broadcasting distress signals on every band. Some are begging for reinforcements. Let them, Vance said, stepping toward the command dais. The more witnesses, the better. He signaled Helix Squad, who were still recovering from their brutal boarding action. Their armor was scarred, dented, and dripping with coolant. They looked like demons pulled from a war god's memory. Captain Mara, he said, you have something for me? Mara stepped forward and placed a small holocube into Vance's hand. This contains every ship command code from the enemy dreadnought we captured, she said, including their strategic assets and homeworld defense networks. Vance nodded. It was exactly what he wanted. The tactical officers looked at each other with unease. Nobody questioned Vance, but everyone understood one thing. He never stopped at victory. He crushed the cube in his fist. The room froze. Sir, the data? It's already uploaded, Vance said calmly. This was just symbolic. His eyes turned toward the stars where broken ships drifted. We don't need their secrets. We only need their fear. A silence spread across the bridge. Even the machines seemed to hesitate. Broadcast, Vance ordered. A comm officer hesitated. To the enemy home worlds? All of them. She complied. A hologram projection recorded Admiral Vance in full clarity. Marked armor, black coat, the insignia of a fleet that always arrived too late. Until today. Alien Coalition, Vance began, voice steady and ice cold. You believe we lacked strength. You believed humans would break under pressure. He gestured to the ruins outside. This is the price of your belief. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You attacked our allies. You hunted them. You left them to die. A beat. And you thought humanity would let that stand. His gaze sharpened. We don't retaliate. We end threats. He motioned to Silas. Show them. One by one, the tactical screens lit up with ruins of the Coalition fleet. Slow motion, analyzed, documented. The destruction wasn't chaotic. It was surgical, planned, executed with precision. Helix Squad, Vance said, stand forward. The armored soldiers stepped into frame, towering, silent, terrifying. For every life you endangered, Vance continued, for every ally you betrayed, know this. Humanity is done negotiating. He ended the broadcast with 5 words that sent shockwaves across the Coalition worlds. This is mercy. The next won't be. The transmission cut. The bridge exhaled as one. Sir, Silas said, long-range sensors show all Coalition fleets retreating. Multiple governments have gone into emergency lockdown. They think you're coming for them. I am, Vance replied. He turned toward the stars once more. But not today. Fear needs time to ferment. Captain Mara approached him quietly. What now, Admiral? Now, Vance said, straightening his coat. We return home. Home? She asked. Yes, he said. The galaxy will rewrite their doctrines tonight. They will study our tactics. They will rewrite their defenses. They will prepare. His voice dropped to a whisper. And then we will return to show them that preparation doesn't matter. A distant explosion echoed through the void as another Coalition vessel succumbed to system failure. Vance smiled, cold and small. Set course, he commanded. Humanity's dark star has only begun to rise. The engines roared, and the human fleet jumped to FTL, leaving behind a battlefield that future generations of alien history books would describe with only one word: fear. When Earth quieted, when the smoke drifted away and the last of the Karith infantry froze in the snow, humanity celebrated. Cities lit lanterns. Children danced under banners. Soldiers embraced and cried. They believed the war was over, but the veterans of Ashwake knew better. War never ends clean, not when you've dealt with something that built empires on extermination principles, and not when you've killed a species' command brain. For a brief moment, the universe held its breath. Then everything shattered. It began with the stars. Astronomers reported anomalies, entire constellations shifting position in unnatural patterns, bright points vanishing as if swallowed by something unseen. Telescopes began picking up gravitational distortions not tied to any object. At first, scientists blamed equipment failure. But deep in my bones, I recognized a feeling. Something was watching. Ward summoned the remaining Ashwake crew, barely 40 of us, to the briefing chamber. He looked older, sharper, more dangerous than he had during any battlefield. He played an audio clip recorded during our escape from the Karith homeworld. At first, it sounded like static. Then the sound deepened into a slow, heavy rhythm, a heartbeat, but not from anything alive. Something was buried beneath the Karith capital. Ward said quietly, a cage, a seal, a consciousness they locked away. He didn't need to finish the sentence. We all felt it. We had broken the lock. Ashwake launched again, no fanfare, no escort, into deep, unmapped regions where not even the Karith dare go. Slip's pace twisted strangely the further we traveled. Our clocks glitched. Hallway lights dimmed even with full power. Crew members reported whispers in ventilation shafts. Reality itself felt thin. Then we found it. A void bubble, a massive holosphere where physics had simply given up. In the center drifted a monolith, so immense it dwarfed Ashwake. Black, featureless, a knife stabbed into existence. The moment we approached, Ashwake's systems died. Lights extinguished. Gravity flickered. The ship went quiet enough to hear your own pulse. Then consciousness hit us. Not sound, not speech, a presence. You were not meant to find me. Everyone collapsed, unconscious, choking on hallucinations that did not belong to us. I opened my eyes to a battlefield millions of years old. Corpses of species I had never seen. Skeletons made of crystal. Machines cracked open like eggshells. Armies so vast they carpeted planets. All dead. Hovering above them was the same wound in space. Absence shaped like a creature that couldn't exist. bending horizons around itself. It had devoured civilizations greater than the Kalrith, greater than us by orders of magnitude, and they had built the monolith to keep it contained, not to study, not to control, but to hide from it. It never imprisoned them. They imprisoned it. And by killing the Kalrith high mind, we had cracked the cage. When I woke, blood ran from my nose. The others writhed on the ground, screaming or silent. Ward stumbled his feet, eyes red. "We're the fail-safe," he whispered. "The universe is choosing who stands, who falls." That was when the test began. The monolith tore into our minds, showing visions, truths, lies, memories twisted with nightmares. It tested our guilt, our grief, our rage. It turned us against ourselves, pitting us against perfect copies who whispered the darkest parts of our souls. Some failed, some screamed, some self-destructed. But humans are stubborn. When offered paradise, we refused. When shown despair, we spit in its face. When the monolith tried to break us with peace, Ward roared, "We don't kneel." And the monolith relented, not defeated, not afraid, simply curious. It released us. Systems rebooted. Lights flickered back on. Ashwake drifted free. A final message etched itself across our screens, in a language we somehow understood. Cycle broken. Observations begin. We didn't destroy it. We didn't escape it. We only earned the right to be judged later. We returned to Earth. The sky looked too blue. Life too normal. People too unscarred. Humanity thought we won a war, but we knew the truth. We had survived an introduction. Months later, the first planetary beacon, buried deep beneath Earth's crust, activated. Its signature matched the monolith's code. 6 more lied dormant across the system, waiting. The new global fleet is being built now. Sentinel-class ships, war platforms designed not for conquest, but for standing watch at the edge of the void. They let me name the first one. I named it Ashwake 2, because some names must live on. And when that thing behind the stars returns, and it will find humanity standing, bleeding, outnumbered, afraid, but standing, because the universe can erase civilizations, rewrite galaxies, swallow stars. But it cannot extinguish something born from grief and fury and stubborn will. It cannot extinguish us. We are human. We fight, even when we know we should lose. And the darkness knows our name now.